Bitcoin is on the way back. Why has it picked up here over the last month or so, going from where it was in the high 20s to now close to 50?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I could give you absolutes, but at CoinShares, we manage $5 billion in assets under management in our crypto-related ETPs. We also have an active trading business and an investing business. We like to look at data, and as we look at data, one of the things we track is fund flows. There's over 50 billion in assets under management in crypto-related products around the world. What we saw throughout the summer, after May coming off those highs, we saw consecutive weeks of outflows. We've seen some small reversals to net inflows here and there, but this last stretch, we had 6 weeks of net outflows. This past week marked the first week of net inflows in size. I think really what we saw there is a lot of institutions entered the Bitcoin trade in early 2021. They wanted to take some risk off the table, maybe crystallize some of those gains in their P&L for the year. So we did see some profit taking, some selling over the summer. Now that we're headed into the fall, I think sentiment has definitely shifted. I saw some data around 17% of Americans now owning Bitcoin. Crypto is obviously a huge part of the discussion around the infrastructure bill. So I think we're seeing a sentiment shift, and with that, we're seeing increased allocation back into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
17% of Americans own a cryptocurrency. Did I hear that right?
They own Bitcoin, not just any cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, that is correct.
That's really amazing to me, because it's only about maybe 50% of Americans who own stocks, right? Or mutual funds.
It's amazing. And I mean, if we look at, for example, Robinhood's Q2 earning results, what's really amazing there is Robinhood is not really a stock app, it's a crypto app. 60% of funded accounts traded cryptocurrency in the second quarter. That's an amazing number.
It is, no fooling.
Meltem, how significant is it what Coinbase said recently about the amount of crypto it's going to hold on its own balance sheet, perhaps for liquidity purposes, but also the accumulation it plans to do over time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really great point. And again, Coinbase is by no means the first. We have to give a shout out to Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy for being the first publicly listed company to hold crypto on their balance sheet in size. I frankly think it's a no-brainer for Coinbase, and I'm surprised that they don't have a larger balance of crypto in their own balance sheet. At CoinShares, we're publicly listed. We also hold some crypto on our balance sheet. And I think actually it will become more common for firms to do so. The challenge to date, though, has been many of the accounting standards are still, very difficult when it comes to crypto. So hopefully we'll see some resolution there as well.
I think the larger point, like you're kind of getting at, you could look at the Coinbase thing and say, well, it's in part, liquidity provision and so forth. But if it's a bigger trend, and that's a big if, it's not exactly like IBM is doing this, but if it's going to be a bigger trend of corporate America holding Bitcoin, you can see a huge bull case. I'm just not sure that investor bases, broadly speaking, be comfortable with that. I mean, it seems easy when it just keeps going up, but during highly volatile times, you could have a pretty unhappy shareholder base.
Absolutely. Look, I think at the end of the day, what we talk about often is Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies broadly are cyclical in nature, like many other assets are. But if we zoom out, I think there's a high degree of conviction here in the secular long-term trend. And really what we're talking about, 500 million of cash for Coinbase is not a huge amount of their balance sheet. It is sizable, but it's not so material that it could have a devastating effect on the business and its ability to operate. So I think, again, to me, it felt very measured. It felt very balanced. And again, if you're building in this asset class in this industry, I think it's important to be net long and have some degree of conviction in the underlying assets themselves. So I think it'll become more common. It'll be interesting to see, as we go into Q3 earnings, who else has potentially put crypto on their balance sheet.